Hey everyone, thank you for showing up to my very first book club. I've wanted to do something like this for quite a while. We're going to be starting Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. I hope to do a chapter per video. Today I'm going to sort of set up the series and introduce you to the book and talk about the prefaces, which have a lot of good information in them, actually, just by themselves. They shouldn't be skipped. Anyway, so this book was written originally in 1961. It had 8 translations. There was a little bit of some on rent control, but not much was written. During the 8 translations, I guess he wrote a full chapter on it. But then when he came out with the new edition, 1978, new edition here, thank you very much, he completely revised it because he felt that the previous argument, which at that time was 17 years old, was not adequate. And I personally think that with the rent moratorium, this chapter is going to be even more relevant than ever. And it's going to be interesting. I'm going to try to do my best to bring in some current topical numbers on that. So I'm looking forward to that. This book was written basically to sort of dissect popular economic fallacies. I don't think that, I haven't noticed people identifying themselves with certain schools of economic thought, but I have noticed that people have certain styles. Like Milton Friedman was known for being in the Chicago school, and Hazlitt was, into Austrian economics. But I don't see different schools being promoted, but I do see certain styles, and people will stick to a certain way of thinking, and I see them continually being brought on to different financial shows because they have one particular style of thinking. So I think that there are people that have these thoughts, they have thoughtful arguments, but they don't agree with each other, and they can't even agree with like how to define inflation. So it's really important to get accurate knowledge. As I've said before, I really feel like there's a famine of accurate economic knowledge in the world, and so I'm here to give you some bread that won't make you fat. Anyway, so yeah, he goes on to say that a lot of these popular economic fallacies, they stem from a central error, and I seem to recall, because right here in the preface he doesn't elaborate, but I seem to recall in the next chapter he talks about the central error being not taking into account the unintended secondary consequences of an economic program. And it's really important because that mistake is continually made, is that economic programs are enacted for the immediate benefit, but the long-term consequences are never considered. And that's the problem. That's how these fallacies are able to blossom, because nobody thinks about what's going to happen in the future. They're only thinking about what's happening now. He does not claim to these ideas being original of his own. In fact, he, says that they are, classical, traditional, orthodox, but a student of truth will not be afraid of those terms. He wants to basically expose the fallacies that they'll be promoted as new or innovative. I like to insert the word modern because they're really not. He makes it a point to say they are in fact revivals of ancient errors, because the past is ignored, nobody paid attention, and so they repeat the same problems. He doesn't specifically with everything that he brings out as a truth attributed to where he first read it. But he does here in this preface, he does especially thank three people. He first thanks Frederick Bastiat, and I cannot pronounce this pamphlet title. I'll link these in the description below. Philip Wicksteed's Common Sense of Political Economy, and of course Ludwig von Mises for his explanation of how monetary inflation is spread. Pardon me. And going along with that, he also makes it a point to say, and when it comes to the fallacies, where they originated, he's not going to name the people that originated for the most part. Let's see, he says here, I hope, therefore, that no one will be too disappointed at the absence of such names as Karl Marx, Thorstein Veblen, Major Douglas, Lord Keynes, Professor Alvin Hansen, and others, because he brings up the point that once these fallacies become popular, they get simplified, they become anonymized, and it sort of doesn't matter who did it originally. And more importantly, why he doesn't bring up who originated it is that how they were originally presented is irrelevant. It doesn't matter that Lord Keynes said, okay, do this a certain way and here's your limits. It doesn't matter that these other people say, okay, under this situation, this thinking will work. Because it doesn't matter. It's how governments adopt these fallacies and how they run with them. That's the point. That's what Hazlitt brings out. I've literally, not to go too much off topic, I've literally had someone make that argument to me. Like, oh, well, Henry Hazlitt doesn't know what he's talking about because, they just got it wrong. This is what Keynes really meant and blah, blah, blah. And this is what he originally wrote. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what was originally presented because what it birthed gave birth to this economic fallacy that's what gets adopted, and it gets adopted internationally. It gets simplified enough where like every major financial country can run with it. So that's important. I need water. Okay. At the time, he tried to make his statistics as up-to-date and relevant as possible, but they go out of date really quick. He brings up the point. You can always look up your own statistics to make it the most relevant, and that is what I will try to do. Feel free to add that in the comments if you have something to add just show me the link, show me your data. That's important. He wrote this book for people that did not have any economic knowledge. He wanted someone who was literally not schooled to be able to understand this. And he writes really well. I love this book. He also, again, said he was grateful to Professor von Mises for reading the manuscript and for helpful suggestions. The opinions that he expresses are completely his own. And I would also like to, when I have maybe say some personal experience that I think is relevant, I'll add my own too, and I'll let you know when that's my own personal opinion. But anyway, it is important. He did bring up how you shouldn't dismiss previous thinking. A student of truth will not always look for something innovative or new, that hasn't been done before. They'll see value in previous good thinking because you want what you say to be valued as well. And if nothing in the past is valued, why should anything you say for the future be valued as well? So anyway, thanks for joining. I hope to see you back here, and take care.